What I'm going to say in this video is going to be very controversial, and I expect that a lot of you are not going to agree with it. However, I really advise that you listen to it because I have a very unique perspective, and I'm personally impacted by a lot of the shit that Kendrick says on this song. Now, as a lot of you may know, or don't because you're new to this channel, I'm a transgender woman, and I've been talking about my experiences being a transgender woman for years now. So if anybody has the right to speak about a song like this, it's me. Kendrick wants to make this big statement about trans people, and I feel like I have the right to say how I feel about that. And shocker, I do not like this song. I think that this sets back the trans community years. I remember listening to the song for the first time, thinking to myself, like, it feels like I've gone back to 2015. It just shocks me how a cisgender straight person dares to tolerate his trans relatives, and then people act like it's this huge, amazing, wow thing. In my opinion, y'all just have lower standards for Black people. And I know that's like a big, like, whoa, did you really? Yeah, I really do think the left just has a lower, sorry. If Macklemore released this song, y'all would be shitting on him relentlessly. There would be no debate. It would be Macklemore is a transphobic bigot because he misgendered his trans cousin and his trans uncle. Like, people, he would not see the end of this. If Macklemore released the song, it would universally be panned by everybody. But because it's Kendrick Lamar, a critically acclaimed Black artist, y'all are acting like this is such progress. It's not. Stop kidding yourselves, right? Now, first of all, let's come with the acknowledgement. Kendrick Lamar isn't and hasn't always been the wokest about LGBT people, right? So when people say that the song's good, they're saying it's good because it's progress from where it was before. You know, Kendrick used to be this transphobic, offensive, and that's another thing with the song. He admits that he used to be this offensive person, which, I mean, I'm glad he's changed for the better, but he's still not fully there yet, okay? Can we just acknowledge he's not there yet? He doesn't really get it. It's so cringy how much he really doesn't get it. And this is a guy who won a bunch of Grammys. This is the guy who all y'all love so much. So let's get one thing straight. In this song, where Kendrick tries to explain why he respects his trans woman cousin, he constantly misgenders her, refers to her by the wrong pronouns, and the song is more about his experience than the actual experiences of the trans people involved. It doesn't seem to me like he cares about them specifically. It's more about, oh, how do I feel in this situation? How am I personally impacted by this? How hard is it for me? Y'all, praise me. Guys, I have a trans cousin. I even accepted I'm such a good fucking person. Thing is, I'm not fucking racist. I'm not gonna hold Kendrick Lamar to a lower standard because he's a Black man. That's another thing. If you think that like Black people are so bad about the LGBT issues, if you think that they're worse about LGBT, that just says that you think lowly of Black people. That's what that says to me. Sorry. Point of the matter is that there's no excuse to ever misgender or dead name a trans person. Ever. You know what this song reminds me of? There was a John Lennon song where John Lennon thinks he's doing this amazing thing. He's talking about women's struggles and comparing them to Black people, and he calls women the N-word of the world. In his mind, he's a super feminist, progressive song. Meanwhile, Black people were like, don't do it. And he literally says in the clip, like, well, my Black friends said it was okay. Obviously, looking back in retrospect, the song was just disgusting, and the people criticizing it were in the right, clearly. And I think time will prove the same here. When listening to this song, I felt the exact same fucking way. I think Kendrick Lamar is a fucking hypocrite, right? And now some people say like he acknowledged this part in the song, right? Okay, so first of all, Kendrick Lamar saying that slur over and over again, thinking that he's okay to do it, or thinking, well, actually guys, I have the right context. I'm saying it in the right way. Meanwhile, this is the same fucking man who a white woman was just singing along to his lyrics in his own song, and because he sang the N-word and she sang along to it, he was so mad at her. He was so furious that he pushed her off stage. Now, some people are saying like, oh, he acknowledges his hypocrisy. Really? If he did, then he wouldn't release this fucking song, because the fact that he still said it anyway proves that he truly hasn't learned his lesson. He hasn't overcome his hypocrisy here. He's still a fucking hypocrite for releasing this. When he mentions specifically the Caitlyn Jenner line, I mean, I'm a trans woman who transitioned before Caitlyn Jenner, right? You can tell, Kendrick Lamar's had these feelings since before Caitlyn Jenner, because this reminds me of a trans environment around that time. At the time, the media was saying the shit was progressive. You know what this reminds me of? This fucking song. This reminds me of the Danish Girl. Now, if you don't know, The Danish Girl was a movie around, I think, 2015-ish. Could be completely wrong about the year, but it was around that time. And it was this movie where the cisgender man played this transgender woman on screen. And I remember everyone praising this movie, being like, wow, this is so good for trans representation. Meanwhile, actual trans people, maybe not everybody, but a lot of them, and I know myself included, fucking hated the movie. I couldn't, it's so bad, right? To see this cisgender man who has all of this privilege, never has to deal with any of this shit, getting awarded with praise while trans women were getting treated like shit everywhere. It was just so absurd. And also, a cisgender man should never be playing a trans woman on screen, ever, under any circumstance. That is not their role to play. To be a trans woman and to have yourself represented by a cisgender man just shows that, like, the people making the film, they don't really see you as a woman, and it's like the person playing that character, you know, representing that character is a man in real life, which is just wrong. If you're gonna make a film with a transgender woman, you know, in the film as a role, either get a trans woman to play it or get a cisgender woman to play it so that, you know, when you see the character, you see a fucking woman. Not a lot of shows have done this very good, but when I saw the media praise that film and get all awards and this cisgender man, it was this level of disconnect from what people saw as this, wow, this amazing progress, and people just want to be awarded with, like, awards and shit for doing the bare minimum, for, you know, at least trying and attempting the care. And that's the thing, all these fucking cis people are saying to me, Rose, this is awful. Why would you feel this way about this song? At least Kendrick tries to care. He's doing something positive. You know, why would you hate a song where, and I'm just like, what the fuck? This is a guy who says homophobic slurs over and over within the song. This is a guy who constantly dead names his trans relatives, misgenders them. I know for a fact, if I had a relative who made a fucking rap song where he constantly dead named and misgendered me, I would be fucking pissed. I would be probably fucking suicidal from that shit. So it would be like the worst fucking thing ever. I think it's absolutely disgusting what he did, and I can't support his music. It's fucking awful. I don't want to hear your shitty little excuses for this song. If you're trans or you just want to share your opinion, go ahead. But I feel like constantly, like, I've just been getting bombarded by people saying, well, actually, Kendrick Lamar thought this out. He really? So if you think hard enough about, guys, okay, I'm a white girl, how can I contextualize my use of the N-word within this song and make it work, right? If a white girl talked about, you know, her issues with previously being racist, it's like, I used to be racist. I used to say the N-word over and over, and then she actually says the N-word 3 times in a row in the song with the hard R at the end. And then it's like, you know, talking about, well, actually over time, I grew to learn that black people are actually cool. And then, you know, racism is actually bad. Y'all wouldn't be like, wow, that's progress. We need to praise this song. You would be like, you just used the fucking N-word 3 times in a row. Like, fuck you, right? That's what you honestly would be like. Okay, don't fucking lie. A white girl makes this exact song about black people instead of, like, trans people. It's just that culturally we haven't reached that stage where people are sympathetic to our cause. People are still, you know, not quite there yet. So they don't get it. They think, oh, well, it's okay, you know? But no, what I'm saying is I'm in that case, that person who's like, no, fuck you. That's how I feel. And like I said, a lot of trans people are gonna be afraid to say this because Kendrick Lamar has a lot of fucking fans. He's seen as this huge voice. People just don't want to admit that he could fuck up on a social cause because they have this, like, weird elevated opinion of him. You know, Kendrick Lamar made To Pimp a Butterfly, one of the best albums talking about race relationships. He is like, oh, this great track record on social issues. He can't be wrong about this. I'm just saying, do fucking better. And I don't think he did. I'm just sick and tired of people saying, like, you can't have an opinion on this. Like, oh no, you're daring to challenge, you know, you're a trans woman daring to challenge this non-trans person's opinion about trans people. How dare you? Like, I don't want to be told, like, what I can and can't think. I don't want to be told, like, I can't have things. All this time, people are giving me so much shit, and I don't give a fuck. This is how I genuinely feel about the song. And if you're mad, whatever. If you're mad that a trans woman said, actually, yes, I do think that Kendrick Lamar's a transphobic piece of shit, because I think he is. Too fucking bad. You can feel some type of way about it, that's fine. What you're not gonna do is try to silence me and tell me that I can't feel this way. Because I do, and my feelings to the song are very fucking valid. It's not a joke. It's not a fucking troll or whatever kind of way you want to cope about this. I'm a trans woman. I want to start this fucking conversation because I just think the song is fucking disgusting. There's no context that makes the song okay. To make this clear to all of you who are in denial about this still. People saying, well, actually the context, he wrote, like, no, there is no context where misgendering or dead name somebody is okay. There's a way to write the song with care, and that's to not do that fucking shit, which he could have easily done. Instead, he just does this. He did not care when he wrote this. It's fucking disgusting that this cisgender straight man is just writing the song knowing he's gonna get praised for this shit. Meanwhile, has all this fucking problems. I'm just sick of it. Fucking sick of it. I didn't even care about this album. I didn't have interest in, like, listening to it, but when I saw that he made a song about trans issues, I knew I had to, because, you know, this is my fucking, like, identity being talked about here. And I'm not here to comment about Kendrick's, like, you know, thoughts on black issues. That's not what I'm fucking doing. So anyone who's trying to claim that, no, I'm not talking about that shit, okay? Not commenting about it at all. It's not my fucking thing. But y'all are so fucking quick to jump on a trans girl and be like, well, actually, you're wrong. Really, I've lived as a trans woman since 2014, and I've known that I was a girl my whole life. And you want to tell me that my opinion's fucking wrong? Really? You're gonna say that shit to me? If you want to talk about it civilly, go ahead. But you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of all those times where, like, people who know literally nothing about trans rights whatsoever will send you something that they think is trans positive, and then you watch it and you're just, like, immediately reminded of, like, the ignorance. And it's like, you don't want to be rude, right? You don't want to be like, oh, you know, because it's like, oh, the person, they're trying, but it's like, am I not allowed to feel like, hey, am I not allowed to, like, educate them and be like, hey, actually, this is the issues I had, here's X, Y, and Z, and you're just expected to be like, well, stop, they're just being nice to you, they're just being nice. It just reminds me of that. There's no excuse for what he did. It's not as transphobic as, like, let's say Lil Uzi Vert, you know, blatantly, like, I mean, if you've heard his song and you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about.
Check my DMs, found out she was a man. I can't DM, never ever again. No.
It's not that, but I'm not gonna, like, praise the song for not literally being the most transphobic thing I've ever heard. Also, I feel like this song kind of, like, propagates and doesn't even challenge, like, this horrible, untrue narrative that, well, trans people are actually just gay. Like, the way he talks about his uncle, like, when I hear this song, it feels like Kendrick doesn't really see his uncle as, like, fully a man, or, like, he doesn't fully see his trans, you know, woman cousin as fully a woman. Clearly, by the way he genders them, that shows you how he really feels. It just seems to me like, okay, sure, like, I think you have the right to that's another fucking thing. I think you have the right to exist while constantly, like, not validating someone's identity at all. Like, well, constantly, Kendrick Lamar is just fucking transphobic. Like, I'm sorry, I have to say it. When I argue with transphobes and TERFs online, they're exactly like this, exactly the same way Kendrick Lamar is in this song. They'll be like, well, actually, I support your right to exist, and then constantly misgender trans people. Like, fuck you. Fuck you, Kendrick Lamar. And I'm just gonna be so fucking mad when this album wins a bunch of Grammys. When people act like this is the most amazing, thought-provoking artwork. I'm gonna feel the same way that I felt when the Danish Girl was winning all those awards. Because I'll know at that point that the culture doesn't understand. They don't understand our struggles. They don't care. They just pretend to. And they'll praise someone because they just don't understand. That's really where I am at the end of the day. That's what bothers me. And I hope that one day people will. But this song reminded me of something that I haven't felt in a long time. It just reminded me that we have so much of a long way to go. It just reminded me how awful and shitty it really can be. I thought we had improved a lot as a society. I thought that we were, you know, I had so much hope. And, you know, seeing this song and the way that people were talking about it made me question it. So yeah, I don't care what people think about this video. I don't care how much hate I'm gonna receive. I don't care, because as a trans woman myself, I will not tolerate transphobia in any sense, regardless if it's Kendrick fucking Lamar doing it. I was there from day one hating on J.K. Rowling for being the turf that she is. I'm just worried, that's all. Anyway, it's Rose Mulet. I'm sure I'm gonna have a lot of conversation in the comments. Let's talk about this, because this is gonna be an interesting discussion. See you guys next time.
Chris Hansen here. I have a message for you, Rose Mulet. Thank you for the wonderful entertainment you have provided us with. I'm gonna need you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Rose
Mulet.
Warning, very sad. Why don't I have 1 million subs yet? This isn't fair, give me subs. If you wanted sandwiches you could have just asked. Or you could subscribe to Rose Mulet's channel. I think I'll take the sandwiches.
Is this really what you wanted, what you wanted? Give me everything and treat me like it's nothing. Is it nothing? It's the party in the Illuminati. If you really think it, tell me, is it what it? And if you think it is, it's what you wanted. Everybody is wondering why there could be nothing. Oh, is it nothing? I'll tell you something.
Support trans rights. If there's any transphobic bills that get passed, fight against them, talk to your lawmakers, make sure that these fucking shitty transphobic bills don't pass, and that positive ones like accepting trans people do. That's all I have to say.